Hey everyone, it's Doug.
And my name's Doug too.
Oh, that's not true at all. Your name is Kane.
The fuck is that?
This is a great start to the podcast,
Yeah,
as usual.
yeah.
Us making terrible jokes.
Let's just...
Was that even a joke?
Hey,
Was
what's
that
going on,
joke?
everybody?
Oh God.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. Remember
Your
to drop a
YouTube
like.
channel.
Remember to drop a like. Enter to win free gift card giveaways for Subway.
Why Subway?
Was that a better start?
Yeah, it was a better start. I can get Subway gift cards through Bing Rewards.
Don't forget to like. Oh, fuck your Bing rewards.
No,
Man.
it's great.
If anybody doesn't know, Doug is one of those Bing people who just fucking takes surveys all day and earn like
It's not
3
a survey.
3 cents per survey.
Okay, look. It's not called Bing Rewards anymore. I just like calling it that because it sounds better than Microsoft Rewards. All I gotta do is they're not even surveys, they're like little quizzes, and I get to surf the web. And if I keep up with it, you can get like a $5 Subway card or a Target gift card. Sometimes they have Amazon cards. That's what I'm really looking for.
You're pathetic.
I am not pathetic.
You're so pathetic.
I'm broke.
But anyway, what's our... Yeah, aren't we all? All right, so what's our topic for today?
Today's topic is space, outer space.
Space. Yeah. Like the thing that's up.
The thing that
Right.
is the opposite of, well, things.
Inner clutter? I don't fucking know.
It is pretty much everywhere
Yeah.
except for right here.
The Earth is flat though, right?
Yes, the Earth is flat.
The Earth is actually a hypercube.
The Earth is concave.
The Earth is concave.
And the sky is a sphere. That's legitimate, by the way. You guys should look that up. There's a concave Earth forum. It's really
Jesus Christ.
hilarious. They actually hate flat earthers, which is even better.
Oh my god. The Earth is a hypercube.
Yes, the Earth is
That's-
four-dimensional, and we are four-dimensional beings secretly. But we have to awaken our third eye to be able to experience it.
Experience tranquility, motherfucker. Starts levitating.
Yes.
Oh my god. All right, so yeah, outer space. So what about outer space? Like, what do we get to talk about?
Well,
We get to talk about stars and the cow jumped over the moon and shit.
it's pretty amazing that 500 years ago or so, everyone thought that the Earth was the center of the universe, or at the very least, the center of the solar system.
It is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The Big Bang happened in the core, everyone.
If-
This is
if
obviously a very educational.
The world actually revolves around one of my coworkers. So
Oh my
that's I have a coworker. She just like will push you out of the way, and to get what she wants, and she will, like, okay, so say you're walking past her, don't even brush up against her, don't even come near to touching her, and she drops her plate and it just shatters all over the ground. She'll legit look at you and go, "Oh well, thanks for startling me. Thanks
Oh,
a
that's
lot."
fun.
Yeah,
Somebody who
she's one of-
blames everything but herself.
Yeah. I still love that fucking she left a little thing, a note for me that said "bad Kane," which was hilarious. Because I did something wrong apparently, and it wasn't. I didn't even do it. She just thought it was me apparently. It's just bad Kane.
What is she, smacking you on the nose? Spraying you with a
Yeah.
water bottle? Bad kid.
Bad Kane. I just wrote on the paper back to her. In all caps, I didn't do this. And then we're having like a note. We'll get to space, but we're having a note war right now because we keep leaving each other fucking notes. Like, I left her a note that said, like, it wasn't even for her. It was for somebody else, and she thought it was for her. And it said like, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't get to this last night. Because of this. Sorry, won't happen again. Fight me." And she took offense to the "fight me."
Oh.
And she was just fucking throwing a temper tantrum and just screaming at people like,
What the
"Can you
hell?"
believe what Kane did?" And
That's insane.
so I left her a nicer note. She was yelling about how I didn't do something else. So I went and did it. And then I put a note on it that said "nice and pretty," and then with a bunch of hearts. Because like she wanted me to clean something. I'm like, there, nice and pretty.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, space. So, let's. I can't remember who, but was it Jesse who suggested we talk about time travel?
Yeah, time travel.
Yeah. So let's start with that. Actually, that's a good place to start.
Okay.
Time travel is possible It's possible. Forward, not
Do you know
backward.
that? Do you know that for sure?
Yeah.
Do you know that it's not possible to go backwards for sure?
Oh well, no. I thought you meant like, do I know for sure that you could go forward in time?
Well, I mean, do you know for sure that time travel is possible? This is all theoretical.
Well, it's not theoretical, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
They,
No, nobody's ever done it, have they?
yeah, astronauts.
No,
Yeah, when they come back, their watches are like slower.
that's not. That
But
doesn't count.
it is.
You can slow time and speed up time because time is
Exactly.
affected by gravitational pull, but that's not the same thing as it's not quite the same, is it? As being able
Yeah.
to willfully just kind of disappear and reappear elsewhere in time.
No, no, I'm not talking about time travel like that. I'm talking about like you can be thrown into a something that spins you at like the near speed of light or something. And you could be sitting in there just chilling, just eating a bowl of cereal or something.
Yeah.
And can you imagine the fucking like frosted flakes inside that thing going near speed light, flying?
Well, presumably the speed of light would not be relative. It'd be relative to everything else, but you yourself would not actually be traveling at that speed. Just whatever construct you're sitting in, because otherwise you'd just be annihilated. There's
Yeah,
no way your body could take that kind of stress.
yeah. But you would be sitting in there, uh, just eating your Cheerios or whatever, and 5 minutes would have passed, and you step out, and it's like 500 years have passed all around you.
Yeah,
But in
like
your little
Interstellar.
bubble, yeah, but in your little bubble, you only had 5 minutes passed.
Yeah, right. But I mean more so to the idea that having some kind of construct that could travel even a percentage of the speed of light is very much only theoretical. We are not even close, not even nearly close to being able to travel at the speed of light, let alone faster than.
Except for Sonic, he can run at the speed of light, can he?
I don't think so. Although apparently, according to the DC universe, the Flash can. The Flash can run many, many, many times faster than the speed of light. It's kind of
My
inconceivable.
fucking ass.
What?
My ass.
Why your
It doesn't.
ass?
That doesn't make sense. If he could run at the speed of light,
Then everything would be dark.
fucking no. If he could run at the speed of light, fucking the world would fucking implode
Yeah, that's true. That's one thing
behind
they
him.
skip.
Everything would just fucking crumble in on itself behind him. He would be sucking the air out of existence.
That's true. Yeah. That's true.
That's why no object is able to travel at the speed of light, because if you could travel an object at the speed of light, everything around that object is just going to be fucking obliterated.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Even like small percentages of the speed of light would still cause massive damage. I mean, look at like supersonic jets. They can't fly too close to the ground or they'll shatter windows.
Exactly.
You know?
And
And
you
that's
could
just the
see-
speed of sound. That's only a few hundred miles per hour. That's not even like close.
Yeah.
You know?
You can see like the sonic boom that they make, that little pocket of air that
Yeah.
just fucking like folds outward.
Yeah,
From-
air collapsing in on itself.
Yeah. Imagine if that thing was traveling like the speed of a fucking bullet.
Yeah. And that's not even it's not even a vacuum, not a true vacuum. If you were to create a true vacuum in any space in the atmosphere, it would cause a lot of damage. Like if you just disappeared, like if you just disappeared from where you were sitting, the pocket of air that would be left behind from where you were sitting would collapse with such force that it would annihilate like your neighborhood at least.
Fucking
It's
wipe
insane.
out the block.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't remember what the exact damage prediction would be, but
Well,
yeah,
it's like the
vacuums
bigger
are
the object, the more issue it causes, right? Like
yeah, that too, yeah.
like a bullet. Like you fire a bullet.
Yeah.
If you slow the bullet down and like with a camera, like you look at it in slow motion, you can see the pocket of air that it's creating behind it, the massive just stream of air collapsing behind
And
the
that's
bullet.
not even a true vacuum.
Yeah.
There's still some air in there, just like in space too. Well, not air, but particles. Space isn't a perfect vacuum; it's a near vacuum, which is why sound can actually. That's kind of an interesting popular misconception about space. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's unrealistic that sounds happen in space." Well, that's true. You probably wouldn't be able to hear an explosion, but sound does and can travel in space. It just
Isn't it just really fucking quiet?
yes, it would require a vast, vast amount of amplitude and volume of something
Like
to actually be able to hear it.
Doesn't everything just okay? So like isn't there? It's just like muffled, right? Like sound is super muffled
It's
in
kind of
space.
like, think about it like this: light doesn't require a medium to travel through, right? So
Yeah,
you can see light in space, but sound does. Sound needs particles, and there are
yeah.
particles in space, but there are so few of them that,
It's gonna be very quiet and muffled.
yeah. I
So like
mean,
like you drop a pin, you're not gonna be able to hear that. But if you
if someone
like a
snapped next to your ear, I think you'd probably be able to hear it.
yeah, or like if like didn't gravity portray sound pretty well? Like when it was the space station was fucking wiping everything out.
Yeah.
Like when it was circling around, you could see it just smashing and exploding everything, and all
Right.
you heard was this just like a little, it was
Yeah. Yeah.
like really fucking quiet, but it's
Exactly.
still there was still a little bit of sound there
Yeah, not going
from
to be
this
Star
massive
Wars.
damage.
Yeah, not going to be Star Wars level high quality explosions. Yeah, that doesn't
It's just
happen.
literally like if like okay, so for reference for people out there who haven't seen Gravity, if you were to take two spacecraft and you're like observing them, say from maybe like 50 meters away, 100 meters away. No, I'd say like 100 meters away. These things would, smash together. You'd see metal rip apart. There'd be explosions from gas and everything. And literally all you'd probably hear is just like a really, really muffled, kind of like underwater, actually.
Yeah, yeah. Even I mean, if that, I mean, I'm not even sure exactly what the exact science and numbers behind how much force, how much volume, amplitude, whatever
Yeah.
you need.
I wanted to talk about this, but I wanted to go back to the collapsing of vacuums just from
Yeah.
like you disappearing. Um, there's actually like a really cool thing that happens or that could happen. The okay, so this is going into like nuclear bombs. So you want to know why nuclear bombs cause so much damage?
Sure. Yeah.
It's because the okay, so when it detonates, when it reaches its point of where it's actually exploding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not before, not after, not the mushroom cloud, not any of that. I'm talking the moment there's the flash, that big, they say don't look because
Right.
it'll burn your corneas out of your fucking skull.
Yeah.
The center of that flash for literally a millisecond, just a short millisecond, it's like the temperature of the sun or something. It's like very, very close to the
Yes.
temperature of the sun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not the explosion. There's nothing really exploding. It's the atoms heating up to the temperature of the sun,
Yeah.
and it's on the surface of our Earth for that split second. So it's not from a bomb
Yeah.
exploding. It's not like shrapnel like a grenade. It's just for a brief millisecond, that section of air and space is
Yeah.
heated to a massive amount. And it can be they said, I was watching a documentary and they said this to put it to perspective. If you were to take a teaspoon of the sun, if you were able to get like the plasma or whatever into a
Yeah.
teaspoon that could hold it, and you dropped that spoon onto place that spoon, if you were able to like teleport it, say in your living room right now, if you were to set that little tiny teaspoon of the sun, it would eventually consume the entire fucking Earth.
Jesus.
They said that the heat would just continue to radiate outwards and get more and more intense, and it would literally burn the Earth
Yeah. Yeah.
into oblivion. So that's why, and that's constant heat. The
Yeah.
nuclear bomb is that same thing with the teaspoon in the sun.
Yeah.
Nuclear bomb's the same thing, but it's only there for a millisecond, and look how much damage that shit does.
Yeah. It's just like a few atoms of material that are being
Yep.
manipulated.
Like the center of the actual explosion is like small,
Yeah.
but the mushroom cloud and the fire wave and the shock wave afterwards is massive.
Yeah, the flash burn is interesting scientifically because, like, you look at the sun and the amount of damage that the electromagnetic radiation that's given off of it causes, and the sun operates with nuclear fusion. So it's fusing hydrogen atoms together to create helium, and in that process is unleashing all kinds of electromagnetic radiation, some of which is ultraviolet rays, things like that that can harm your skin, and we are 93 million miles away from the sun,
Yeah.
protected by the ozone layer and layers of atmosphere, and still exposure to the sun on a hot day for more than an hour will cause damage to your skin. Imagine being within a few miles of something like that going off,
and
that's
like
the nature of the flash burn.
And that's what I said. That's only for a millisecond. It's
And
only
a very,
that
very
hot.
small amount of material.
Very, very small. It's
Yes.
ridiculous. The sun is essentially just a giant, constant nuclear explosion.
Yes, being contained by its own mass. The gravitational pull pulls it back. Of course, when it will eventually run out of fuel, that becomes an issue.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, the sun is just one big nuclear bomb going off, but
Yeah.
not flashing. It's just constantly keeping its heat.
Yeah.
That's why people just get vaporized by nuclear bombs, because it's
Yeah.
literally the sun's heat in a very small amount. Like, you could probably hold the initial flash of the nuclear bomb in your hand. It's very small, but very fucking devastating. I was going to say something about the nuclear fucking fusion that happens, but I can't remember.
There's different kinds of bombs. There's fission bombs, fusion bombs. They all do different things, but sort of operate in roughly the same way.
Oh yeah, what I was going to say was that's why they tell you not to look if there's a nuclear explosion, because,
Yeah.
like I said, it's the same heat. The heat gives off the light, and the light is literally if you brought the sun down to the earth and you were
Yeah.
just looking right at it.
Don't look at the sun. I mean, it's harmful enough to look at the sun, and like
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
it's
Like
so
if
far
you look
away.
at this, if you look at the sun right now, it's going to hurt your eyes eventually, right? Imagine if that shit was on the earth. It would fucking
Yeah.
burn your corneas out of your skull, which
Exactly.
nuclear bombs do if you look at them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. I fucking love nuclear bomb talk, but we're getting a little off the space.
Well, to get back into space and to get back into time travel-ish stuff, so, the nature of stars and the idea that they're basically a one large nuclear reaction, the idea that they, like a supernova, that is a star that eventually explodes, it literally essentially unleashes the remainder of its fuel in what amounts to an interstellar nuclear explosion. The interesting thing about that is that the sheer amount of mass and heavy particulate that's released is, with stars that are big enough to support such a thing, collapses in on itself and makes a black hole. Black holes are interesting because they are essentially the closest thing that we can come to what appears to be a rip or a tear in the space-time continuum. That is, they are so infinitely dense that anything that approaches the event horizon or anything that approaches the sphere of influence of a black hole is altered, including light. And the interesting thing about that is that makes the alteration of time a thing, which is explored in the movie Interstellar and many other things.
Yeah, it's really cool with black holes. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about black holes is, well, to put into perspective of to give our listeners, if they don't really know anything about them, this is how strong they are. This is how strong of a gravitational pull that they have. If you were to fall into a black hole, I can't remember where I saw this, but if you were to fall into a black hole, you would, okay, I need to start. I'm fucking stumbling like crazy. Take a hit from the bong.
Haha.
No, I'm not smoking. I don't do drugs. But anyway, yeah. So if you were looking at, if you were observing somebody fall into a black hole, you'd be sitting comfy back in your spaceship and you're watching them, and it would look like they were slowing down, right?
Yeah.
They're traveling towards the absolute blackness, and after a while, it would look like they just start slowing down, and then eventually they would stop.
Yep.
They would just be frozen right there, and then slowly but surely, you would see your buddy from when he was frozen just kind of like fade away.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
the image, like you lower the opacity on an image where it just becomes fainter and see-through and eventually gone, because that point where he stopped moving is the point where light could no longer travel out of the black hole from the massive amount of gravity and density from the center.
Yeah. You're
To the
essentially
point where,
seeing a
yeah,
suspended after image.
yep, like a photograph, and then it slowly fades away
Yep.
after, it's crazy. And then for the person the unfortunate bastard who falls into the black hole,
Yeah.
they start, their feet. So say they're going foot first.
Yeah.
Their feet are closer to the center of the black hole than their head is. So it's going to start stretching their feet out.
Yeah.
And then it's going to start stretching their legs out. And they're going to become spaghetti. It's called spaghettification, funny enough.
Yeah. Also, you would
Oh.
not be able to see your friends anymore because light just
Yep.
can't escape. It would be, unless light was
Complete
directly in
blackness.
your vicinity, it would literally be black, perfect
Yep.
blackness.
You couldn't see yourself either.
Yeah. Now, depending on we don't exactly know how black holes work, so it's purely theoretical, but it could potentially be possible to see the particulate at the center of the black hole, although that's kind of dubious. We don't know. We really don't know, and there's no way to know, because even if we were to somehow find one, we know that they exist to some degree, but even if we were to somehow be able to reach one, and then if we were to somehow be able to send some kind of probe or instrument into it, it would not be able to transmit data back.
Yeah,
So
the
it would
data
be
would
useless.
be sucked back into it.
Yeah.
Like that's putting it into perspective for our listeners. Literally radio waves. You can't touch them, you can't see them, but they would not be able to escape. They'd be getting sucked in.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Also,
I
our
love it.
galaxy is centered around either a single or a group of supermassive black holes, which form the gravitational center.
Yes,
Interesting.
and we do know black holes exist because we can see them, and it's hard to explain. But like there's photos online or like videos of them showing them pan across a black hole, what it would look like.
Yeah.
The stars and all of the space around. So say you're looking directly at it, you just see a circle, which it's not a hole, by the way. A black hole isn't just like a hole. Isn't it like a globe?
It's
like
a sphere, yes.
Yeah, it's a sphere. So that's a nice little fact for everybody out there. A black hole isn't actually like a hole. It's a sphere. But if you look at it up in space, you're going to see, the sphere, the black, just complete blackness of the sphere, and you're also going to see all of the space around it warping. It's going to look like you're looking through like I can't think of.
It's called a
Can you
lensing effect.
Yeah, it's like everything's just like warped and circling around the hole. It's really weird.
Yeah, you're seeing what essentially amounts to light from whatever is behind it near the edges being warped around it as it approaches the black hole.
It's literally grabbing the light waves and
Bending them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Not letting them pass.
How do you bend something that simultaneously isn't really matter, isn't really energy, is kind of a bit of both? It's terrifying.
It's how dense. And a black hole could be made out of anything. You could be turned into a black hole.
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. It's not really matter. It's more of like a
density.
Yeah, it's a physical phenomenon that manifests from a point of infinite density and infinitely small size. So it's impossible to quantify.
Well, it kind of is. I remember reading an article once, and it said that if you were to pack, and now for people who don't know, density is more matter, smaller area, right?
Well, density simply refers to the packedness, if you will, of something. So obviously steel is more dense than something like foam.
Well, okay, here's a perfect example. Okay, so you have a box, right? You have a box of packing peanuts, okay? You got a box of packing peanuts. And they're just, say you have 10 packing peanuts in there. Close the box, you shake it up. Those peanuts can move around pretty easily, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You throw more peanuts in there. Okay, it's a little more dense now. There's less room for the peanuts to bounce around with. Get to the point where you pack as many peanuts as you can in there, and it's going to be so tightly packed that nothing can really move, and it's going to be heavier. You've packed more matter into a smaller area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so a black hole is super fucking dense. It's got so much matter packed into the singularity, the tiny little fucking point in the middle, in the center of the black hole. If you were to take the Earth and squeeze it while maintaining its matter, keeping all the matter that's on Earth,
Yeah.
and squeezing and packing that shit down to the size of a peanut, they said, it would collapse in on itself and become a black hole.
Yeah, it's important to keep in mind that we are maintaining the same level of matter, which means
Yes.
that black holes do not have infinite mass. They do have a measurable mass. It is, of course, enormous.
But it's all of that mass packed into the fucking pinpoint.
Which kind of breaks our ideas about classical physics, because theoretically something like that shouldn't really exist. It's kind of odd.
I mean, look at bullets. That's lead right there. I'm always fascinated how heavy bullets are.
Yeah,
because they're so
is-
small,
yeah.
and lead has so much matter packed into it. It doesn't matter how big it is; it's how much matter and how much matter is packed into that small little bullet. So when
Yeah.
I hold it in my hand, I'm like, this is fucking heavy. Like, not like overwhelmingly heavy where I'm like struggling to hold it up, but it's like you would expect you drop and not really press down into your palm like bullets do.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking dense as hell.
Yeah, lead is considered a heavy metal, and it has a high atomic number, so its nucleus and all of the things that make up it make it much heavier than something like iron,
Yeah, but nothing will be as dense as flat earthers. So let's zing, got him, boys. We got them. Let's move on to our sponsors. Oh, wait, we don't have any. All right, so let's move on to the next. Nobody likes us. But no, black holes are fucking amazing. They're fucking terrifying. And here's the fucking scary part. You could have black holes come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
You could if you were to place a black hole in front of you right now, just hovering in space right in front of you right now.
Yeah.
And that black hole was the size of a penny.
Yeah.
It would still suck you in
Yes.
from the amount of gravity and massive amounts of density in the center of it. It would still suck you in.
Yeah.
It doesn't care if your finger doesn't fit.
It would not only suck you in, it would wipe out like a 3-mile radius.
Well, yeah, but
the
we're
size
just
of
talking,
a dime.
Yeah. We're just taking not even a 3-mile radius. It would consume the Earth.
I'm not sure if it would consume the Earth. I read an article that said if you had one the size of a dime, it would like take out something equivalent to the size of New York. Although what happens to the Earth after that is kind of up in the air.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is there are black holes out there that are literally the size of like a dime, and if you came across it, first of all, it's terrifying because you won't even be able to fucking notice that shit. Second off, it's not like you would get warped and sucked in. It would be like trying to yank something through a tiny hole. You could probably get it through that hole, but it's gonna fucking crush. It'll break your bones. It'll tear your flesh, warp your hand, crack every single blood vessel and vein in that hand down to the size where it could actually fit through that hole, or not into the hole, but I mean, to the center of that black hole.
Right.
It's fucking terrifying because that would be a slow fucking process too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would. Black holes actually do, we keep saying that nothing can escape from a black hole. Well, that's not necessarily true. Black holes are not eternal. They do eventually lose their mass to entropy, and it's something called Hawking radiation, which was discovered by Stephen Hawking, the famous physicist. Basically, sort of similar to how pulsars work, where they let off this crazy beam. In a much less spectacular way, black holes actually do let off radiation, and eventually they will fade away. It's kind of weird and.
I like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff.
This is why I knew this would be a great topic for tonight.
Oh yeah, because we're both fascinated by this stuff.
I love space.
Me too.
I love it. I play a lot of Kerbal Space Program, and also when I was a kid, I would always read I was that kid who rented out the big ass fucking space books out of the library.
Too. I've still got
the
some.
School library. I love that shit. And at first, it's cool to see how my interests have evolved. Like first, I was just like, "Whoa, there's other planets. That's so cool." whoa, this planet's got 8 moons. Oh my God. I was fucking amazed just at our own tiny little area of the solar system.
Right.
And then I started branching out and I started learning about this. I started learning about that. And people always ask, like my parents and stuff, they're like, why don't you become like an astronomer or something? And I'm like, that looks boring as fuck. Just sitting in front of a monitor all day looking at little specks on the screen. Fuck that.
To be fair, it is kind of boring. It's not nearly a glamorous job. You're basically just doing calculations the whole time.
Exactly. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Now, if you paid me to talk about it, space, that's a different story. But,
Yeah.
And anyway, I was gonna go into something else, but I have fucking a dent in my brain. I don't know. What was it? What the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah. So I eventually started playing like Kerbal Space Program, and anybody out there who likes space, who likes outer space, and the idea of traveling to different planets, I definitely recommend going on Steam and downloading Kerbal Space Program. I think it's like what, $20-$30?
I think it's usually 30. Sometimes it goes on sale though.
Sometimes I got it for 20. It was on sale. So
I think I did too on GOG.
It's it's basically the concept of the game is you got these little aliens. You're the chief of a space program that's on the planet Kerbin, which is very similar to Earth. You got these little green men. They're dressed up in their little space suits, and you start off with literally like 3 items. It's like a fucking trash can with TNT in it, and that's your first space shuttle. And you're like, all right, well, let's try this. And the point of it is you start off with nothing, and then you start doing research. You discover new parts. You put probes up in space. You gather scientific data that gives you science points to add into your research to develop new stuff. And you eventually you get to the point where I was, where I'd have like satellites all around different moons, and I was exploring different planets, and it's a physics generator. So you launch your rocket. And when you're launching it, if one side's a little heavier than the other, that rocket's going to tip. And you're going to see it. It's going to tip, and it's going to start spinning all over the place, and everybody fucking dies. Just putting it bluntly.
Yeah.
You need to compensate for power. You need to, before you say you're going to send somebody to the moon, you need to think about power. You're going to need to think about food and water. You're going to need to think about oxygen levels. You need to think about the different wiring inside of the rockets.
Well, you've got some mods, I think.
Well, my mods just make it more immersive.
Yeah.
My mods are the ones that make it so you need to worry about food and water.
Right. But
it's
it
cool
is
mod.
very much an engineer's game, like if you want it to be. It can be simple enough to the point where you don't need to know anything and you can learn it fairly easily, but also if you really want to get into it, like things like the rocket equation, all of that applies just like it would in real life. So
I watched this guy. You should check this guy out. You've watched him before.
Scott Manley, right?
Yeah, Scott Manley.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
one of the best tutorials in general on YouTube ever.
Yeah, he does challenges for that game. He streams, and he's a great fucking dude. I love that guy. But he did a challenge to land a rocket on the moon without any assistance from the map, the orbiting command control center. Yeah. Literally, he was just looking at the rocket the entire time.
Navigating by feel.
Yes, and he actually did it, and I was like, "Yo,
that's incredible!
Fuck, that's insane."
It's so hard to judge distances and speeds like that because they're so far beyond human capability. It's very hard to eye something like that.
Yeah, especially because space. So the measurements in space are our brains can't fathom.
Yeah.
I say, the sun is, and this isn't, I don't know how much the sun weighs. I'm just making up a number now.
Who knows?
The sun is 900 quintillion, sextillion, whatever pounds. You're like, wow, that's a lot. But you can't really think. You can't fathom how heavy that is. The Earth is 600 sextillion or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like a big number, but you can't really fathom it,
It's
which is weird.
unbelievably unfathomable. It's even like a fraction of that number is
Hmm.
unfathomable. We
Like
can
you think
barely
about,
imagine like a million.
hmm you think about the size of the Earth, um, or no, or yeah, okay. So think about the size of our Earth. The Earth is a spot compared to the sun, right?
Yeah.
Our sun is a spot compared to other suns out there,
Yep.
other stars, and you think, oh, wow, that's pretty big, but you have no fucking clue how big that is. It's
Exactly.
fucking enormous. When our sun is literally a tiny little dot compared to another star out there, do you know how fucking big that is? Fucking huge.
Yep. The Carl Sagan's famous you know, speech about the Earth being a pale blue dot, a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. It was a picture that was sent back by, I believe, Voyager 1 on its way out of the solar system, and the Earth looks so incredibly insignificant.
We are like I think I said this on the last podcast. Like our entire solar system. Don't even think about Earth. Don't think about from the sun to Pluto. I know Pluto's not a planet, whatever. Not that. Our entire fucking solar system is a speck of dust in a desert,
Yeah.
in the Sahara Desert. A speck of dust. It is nothing. Our solar system is insignificant. There are, and like going back to unfathomable measurements, there are galaxies out there that we haven't even discovered because light hasn't reached from that galaxy yet.
Yep. Our universe is the observable universe, as we call it. That is the amount of the universe that we can see because the light has been traveling long enough to be able to reach us from the existence of the universe is only about roughly a third, or that's theoretical, only about a third of the actual size of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like incredible.
Like
How?
we could be the boring part of the universe. We could be like
Yeah, for all we
nothing
know,
really.
we have no damn idea.
Like you think about somewhere where we can't even see. We can't physically see because light hasn't reached from it yet. And light travels
Yeah.
fast, billions of years, and light still hasn't reached
Yeah.
us. And even if it does reach us, we have to watch that galaxy be born. We have to watch it go
Yep.
through the process of
That's what we would see. Yeah.
we would see as it was 20 billion years ago, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not 20 billion, but like 2 billion years ago.
Right. Right.
But anyway,
And what you said about, we could be the boring part of the universe, it's interesting because even if we were to be able to see those parts of the universe that we, like say that there's a galaxy in a part of the universe that we can't see, we might not ever be able to see it ever, like in eternity, because even though it takes however long for the light to reach us, those galaxies are traveling apart from each other, some of them faster than the
Yes.
speed of light. So they are literally exiting our view faster than we can see them.
Exactly. And in going back to saying we might be the boring part, think about it. We're like in the corner of the fucking room over here. We're like
Yeah.
nothing really significant happens. There's no other neighbor planets. There's no
Yeah,
I mean there's neighbor
very
planets,
average
but there's
solar system, very average star.
yes. Think about some of the solar systems out there that we cannot see. There could be like Star Wars shit going on. There could be no, seriously. Think about
Yeah.
it. We're a speck of dust in the desert. There's so many other so many more that we don't even know about. We probably know like 0.1 or 0.001 of the galaxies that are actually out there.
Right.
There could be galaxies out there that have such advanced technology that they do have giant space wars and they have like alien creatures and people with lightsabers and shit. That could be like a real fucking thing. I wouldn't doubt it for a second. There could be huge fucking civilizations and planets that have inhabitable life, at war with each other. Oh, instead of saying we're at war with fucking Japan or China or fucking Russia, those galaxies out there, they're like, all right, we're going like if we were using our planet's names as reference, it'd be like, all right, today we declare Earth has declared war on Saturn. This is going to be a rough battle. That's it's fucking crazy to think about that could actually be happening right now
It
somewhere
puts into perspective our petty wars over nothing, you know?
they're literally fighting over planets and we're just fighting over little bits and fucking land.
Yeah, patches of dirt. Yay.
Get the fuck off my dirt.
What a meaningful existence, huh?
Get off my dirt. Get out of here.
Yes.
It's just crazy to think of how insignificant we are as human beings.
Yeah.
We're literally nothing. And that's actually that's a thought. I can't remember who coined that, but when talking about alien life, maybe you said it, I don't fucking know. But they said somebody said when talking about life, like, oh, why haven't they contacted us? Why haven't they, if there's extraterrestrial life out there that knows that we exist, why haven't they contacted us?
Yeah.
One, could be maybe they don't know how to approach us.
Yeah.
They don't want to scare us. Theory number 2, they actually created us and they're just observers.
Yeah.
Or 3, they know of our existence, but they literally do not give a single fuck, because it's like you're outside, right?
Yeah.
There's an ant on the ground.
Yeah.
Like maybe a little row of ants leading away from a picnic basket. You notice the ants, but they're literally so insignificant to you that you just keep walking. You don't fucking care because they're fucking nothing to you compared to
the most an ant could ever be to you is a minor inconvenience.
Yes.
You never spend any time considering anything about them beyond that.
It's crazy because we could literally be ants to advanced alien civilizations.
Why should they contact us then? Exactly. It's more than a waste of their time.
They know we're here, but they literally like, okay,
yeah,
we don't really fucking care.
Yeah,
like that's cool.
Which is impossible. Which is nearly impossible for us to fathom. Just as an ant could not fathom how much more intelligent and developed we are compared to them, we certainly couldn't fathom how much more intelligent and developed they are compared to us.
If an ant can think for itself, it would probably think like, I'm a smart fucking dude. Like, we're a smart civilization. Look at us. We build these colonies together. We we have all this underground tunnels and shit. They think they're fucking geniuses. But we're like, are you fucking kidding me? You're digging in the dirt.
Right.
That's what aliens could see us now. Are you fucking kidding me? An iPhone? What the fuck is that ancient shit? Like, nuclear bombs. Congrats. Welcome to fucking kindergarten of warfare. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy to think we are truly insignificant in the universe. Yeah. Didn't they find planets and shit? They're starting to find planets, and it's cool how they find them.
They've only found we found a lot of exoplanets, which is what they're called. We've only found a few that are like, quote, habitable, within the habitable zones of whatever stars.
No, there was a lot that were found.
Well, they find a lot. That's the thing.
Yeah, they find a lot, and it's cool how they find them. I like this. They look at a star, a distant star, right, and they zoom in on it.
Yeah.
And they monitor it. If you're looking at our sun and you're like you're sitting really far away from Earth, it's like an eclipse, right? But the Earth is so small compared to the star that if you're watching from fucking Mars, right? If you're watching from Mars, if the Earth were to pass in front of the sun, it wouldn't be an eclipse. If you could really zoom in and see, you'd see a little black circle.
Yeah.
Traveling across the bright light, right? Because that's the shadow casting. That's how they find these planets. They look for, and since we're so far away, it's even smaller than a circle. It's literally like a speck of dust on the screen.
Yeah.
They look for it, and they look for the movement, and they have these like computers that can monitor if there's a change. And they, by the way, they don't see anything. It's a change in brightness is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So say the sun is, I'm not going to give out scientific terms. I'm going to say the sun, the brightness of the sun right now is 3,000. If something were to pass in front of it, it would, and I don't care if literally it's not even able to be seen, which it's not, most of these exoplanets.
Mm-hmm.
If something were to pass in front of it, it would significantly significant, or not significantly, but like it would give off a lot, not a lot. Fuck, I can't talk. It would give
Yeah.
off a lot less light, or it would give off less light. Fuck me, man.
A
I
lot
can't
less or a
talk.
little less? Because
No,
presumably
it
it would
would.
be almost an insignificant amount, which is
Yes,
why we
yes,
need
that's
machine
what
to
I'm trying to
measure it
say.
rather than being able to see it.
Yeah. So what it does, so like I said, the sun's brightness is 3,000. I'm just throwing, a random number out there for reference. If an exoplanet were to pass in front of it, the brightness would go from 3,000 to 2,999.9999999999999999999,
Yeah.
way down there, like 100 nines and then
Yeah.
8.
Which seems like it could be like an instrument error or like a
Exactly.
fleck of rock or whatever. So, then it gets to the point of let's see if this repeats itself in some significant amount of time to imply like an orbit or something.
And that's how they actually gather the orbit. They
Yeah.
look for when it does that again.
Yeah. And
It's
calculate.
crazy. It's crazy amount of fucking. Oh man, it's just weird.
Yeah.
The amount of like science that goes into types of shit like this.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
oh, we could measure. Like, who the fuck thought of that?
what
Like,
we can
could
do with so little information, really. I mean, it is really
Yes.
like a shitload of information, but it's what we're missing is the crazy bit,
Well, if you think about it, there's a lot of stuff in space that we've never seen.
Yeah.
We gather data
Yeah.
from
We
like
notice its effects on other things.
yes,
Yeah.
like oh, there's something's here, so that must mean that there's something here making it be there.
Yeah. They
You
knew
know?
for hundreds of years that there were planets in our solar system that they weren't able to see yet because they were able to calculate the gravitational effects on the orbits, and it was irregular on some planets. And they're like, oh well, there must be something then.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how you can literally just detect shit.
Yeah.
You don't have to see it; you could just detect it, like atoms. We don't even know what an atom looks like, do we?
No, we don't. Well, actually, technically, we can quote see them with I think scanning electron microscopes. Although what we're really seeing is kind of like the halo cloudishness of the electrons. We can't actually see the nucleus
Oh,
or
okay.
anything like that. But you can see, like, if you look up pictures of it, you can see grids of them, which is kind of neat. Like
Yeah,
arranged
that's
in a.
yeah. Like for the longest time, I thought an atom literally looked like the Jimmy Neutron symbol. Like the things just like spinning
Yes.
around like the clump of balls.
That's essentially kind of what the electrons are doing to a certain degree, or at least we believe.
But it's just a representation. It's not
Yeah.
what it really looks like. It looks nothing like that.
Right.
The,
It just
yeah,
looks
the
like
electrons.
a little blob, essentially.
Yeah, it's weird, man.
Well, who knows what, eventually you're getting to the point where quote look like becomes kind of insignificant because as we're getting smaller and smaller, it's like, okay, how small can we get before we get to the size of photons, which make up light?
Yeah.
And if we get any
Yes.
smaller than that, then it's like, well, I guess we're going to have to rely on computer models because there's no way that this can be seen.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I wonder how like actually small you can go. Like
Yeah.
is there a limit? Is there a
Yes.
limit to how small
Yes.
something can get?
Yes, there is. It's called the Planck length. Anything smaller than that, which by the way is unfucking fathomably small. Like things that are smaller than things that are so small that they're theoretical. And then particles that are
Jesus.
so small that they're smaller than that are even further theoretical. It is like many, many, many orders of magnitude smaller than that.
It's fucking
It's like
ridiculous.
you think that fucking atoms are small. You think that quarks are small. No, the Planck
Those
length.
things are fucking huge.
The Planck length is theoretically the smallest distance before things like mathematics, physics just cease to make sense. At that point, okay. So you guys probably, I haven't talked about this on stream yet, but I am not a big fan of of string theory. I get it. I just hate how pseudoscientific it can be when people tend to talk about it as if it's like this is how it is.
Explain string theory because
So-
I've tried talking to
Yeah.
people about it and a lot of people don't know what it is. So
String
explain.
theory is a theoretical, I repeat, theoretical attempt at something called it's essentially an attempt at bridging two separate pieces of physics: classical physics, which is what we rely on for most things, and essentially quantum mechanics or quantum field theory, which is things like things that are explained by certain recently, I say recently kind of like with a grain of salt, because this goes back like 70 years or more, recently discovered phenomenon that seem to contradict classical physics, like the behavior of quarks, things like that. The string theory is an attempt to unify those two theories, and in that, in how it does it, it explains things that seem a little impossible and in a lot of ways are barely backed up by science. It just kind of sounds elegant, and I think that's why a lot of people like it. So really what it kind of does is it talks about dimensions. Like, we live in a three-dimensional world. The idea is that there are not only 3 dimensions, not only 4 dimensions if you consider time to be the 4th dimension, but there are 11 dimensions.
What?
And it's like, okay, well, that's getting a little silly. And then it's like, well, what happens if you get really small? What about 1 dimensions? And then that's where it gets really stupid.
Yeah.
Then what's going on there is, I mentioned the Planck length, the thing that's super fucking small. Well, presumably what is smaller than that is something called quantum foam.
Doug's PP. Oh,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Quantum foam. It's essentially the stuff that makes up the fabric of the universe, and it's made up of little strings that vibrate and create other universes, and it's just stupid and pseudoscientific, and I hate it. But yeah.
I'm still laughing.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe fucking who knows? Maybe it's right. I don't know. I'm not a physicist. I just think it sounds like a lot of really convenient stuff that is not in any way backed up by math.
You want to fucking start a movement, Doug?
There's a few. The thing that annoys me about it is that there are a few physicists out there. I'm not going to name any names, but there are
Bill
a few.
Nye, the science guy.
No, well, yeah, I'm sure that he'd probably subscribe to this, but there are a few physicists out there that are like public figures that are responsible for maintaining a scientifically rigorous appearance, and yet they entertain these ideas because it's popular and because they get paid, because people love to sit around and listen about string theory, and it makes me annoyed because they may be real scientists and they may have spent their life doing scientific things, but man, it's more like just entertainment than it is.
Well, it's kind of like that one scientist that Bill Nye debated with.
It's like whatever.
Yeah.
The creationist guy.
Yes. So it's like, okay, so for those of you listening, me and Doug we don't fucking believe in God or anything. This guy was debating with Bill Nye, and he believes that God exists and created man and Noah's Ark and all that stuff. He believes the Bible
6,000 years ago.
Yeah, which Bible story? We're not going to get too far into this. I don't want to do this, but literally, Bible stories are complete crap. That shit doesn't happen nowadays. You don't get swallowed by a whale, and whatever. I need to stop. But basically, this guy was just going off saying, yeah, we were created and Jesus loves you, and you go give your little boys their church lessons and little girls their church lessons. And Bill Nye, I don't know if you see that screen cap of him.
Oh, looking like incredibly disappointed / confused.
Yep. Bill Nye is just staring this guy down with the most confused, disappointed look on his face. And it's just weird because it's like, okay, that guy was intelligent. He seemed very intelligent. But he's just like refusing to, I don't know. It was just weird to see like an intelligent guy who was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're only 6,000 years old.
Yeah.
That's weird. And then Bill Nye's like, there's fucking carbon dating. Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, back to space and not Bill Nye and Jesus.
Yeah.
What was another? There was something else I wanted to talk about. Oh, what are they called? Help me out here. Dying stars that fucking shoot out laser beams.
Quasars.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yes, quasars.
Now, a quasar, it's a dying star, right?
It's
And the
kind of
beams are like rotating.
it's it's not it's not a star per se. It's kind of a, how do I describe this? It's kind of, I hesitate to say galaxy because it's not really a galaxy. It's
Wait.
kind of a galactic, like, you know how our supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy is super fucking bright? Well, certain galaxy centers are quasars, and essentially they kind of spin and blow off this crazy amount of energy.
Man,
This
these
is a
pictures are
fairly
amazing.
recent thing that we've discovered, fairly-ish recent.
If you're listening to the podcast right now, go ahead and just type in quasar, Quasar,
Yeah.
on Google Images, and you're gonna be like, holy shit.
Artistic representations, obviously, but because
Yeah.
they're so fucking far away, it's kind of hard to even imagine.
This picture looks real. Oh, whatever. But yeah, so they shoot off these beams of light, and I remember they said if one of those beams of light was aimed towards Earth, it would eventually travel all the way to us and just completely fry us.
Yeah, so thankfully there aren't. You know, that
Yeah.
kind of gives you an idea of the size and ridiculous size of space, is that there are these things and presumably a shitload of them, and none of them are even close to touching us.
Man, that's crazy. Just can you imagine like looking up and just seeing this giant laser beam just coming down on you?
Oh, you wouldn't see it.
Fuck. Yeah, you would.
No, you wouldn't. You'd be instantly annihilated. I mean, I suppose you'd see it, quote, quote, but by the time it got close enough to, like, you know, yeah,
Jump in the fucking bunker.
yeah. You might actually have time for that because, yeah, you might have time for that.
That's what I'm saying. Like you'd see it.
Yeah.
There's something else. Sorry, I'm eating sushi. There was another thing. Go ahead. You put off your ideas while I think about the other thing I wanted to talk about.
Oh, I don't know. Weren't we talking about time travel?
No. We're talking about space, but
Okay, space.
there was something, and I have such a terrible fucking memory. There's quasars, light beams. Yeah,
Ultralight beams. Kanye
no.
West.
I remember Kanye West.
Ultralight beam.
No, he's just a
It's
star.
a song from.
He's a star.
Yeah, he is.
I fucking love Kanye West.
I do too. He's fantastic.
Fucking artist. He may be a dick, but he's a great artist.
Yes.
Oh, but anyway, I remembered what I wanted to talk about. Stars. I think there's. It's Is it stars or black holes? One or the other. I think it was stars actually that I read about this. Two stars come close to each other, and they start acting on each other's gravitational pull.
Yeah.
So they start orbiting each other, right?
Yeah, binary stars. Yeah.
Yeah, binary stars. So basically, there's two stars about the same size, and they start orbiting each other. So basically, they're just rotating around each other.
Yes.
And eventually, they keep getting closer and closer. Yeah. Gravitational pull becomes faster and faster, and eventually, these things are traveling near the speed of light, just rotating each other. Not near the speed of light, but they're fucking going pretty fast, like speeding bullet. And they're just rotating around each other. And I wonder what that would fucking look like.
Oh, a disc or just something.
A disc, just fucking cutting through space.
Yeah.
Fucking fucking rip it. Fucking Beyblade.
Yeah, let it rip.
Let it rip.
Certainly a Beyblade of cosmic proportions. You know what's funny? Like globular clusters. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Globular cluster.
You're aware of globular clusters? They're
No,
essentially packets of stars that orbit galaxies like ours, but they're not really in the disk. They just kind of orbit around it. They're like little. And the interesting thing about them is that they have some sort of gravitational center, but they're essentially stars that are closer to each other than they probably should be. And by that I mean that they're only really like a couple thousand kilometers apart. And I think this is fairly recent. I read about this I think a few years ago. They're comprised of what essentially amounts to being very, very old stars. And there's no nebula inside them. So there can't be new stars in there, right?
Uh-huh.
But we found one in there. And we were like, how does that work? How did a new star get formed? The theory is, and it was a blue star too. The theory is two red stars, or presumably, old red stars, literally smashed into one another and made a new star.
What?
Yeah.
That's cool.
This is theory, obviously. This is not proven, but that's the most likely explanation. That's how close they are to one another. They literally physically collided. That's crazy.
Going back to what we were talking about earlier, size, unfathomable size.
Yeah.
What is what's it called? The pillars of like gas and like they look like dark clouds in space.
Like nebula?
Nebula, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think so. Nebula.
There's
Nebula.
famous ones like the Horsehead Nebula. The
Yeah. Okay.
Helix
Yeah.
Crab,
Yeah. I'm talking about the three pillars.
The pillars of creation.
Yes.
Yes.
The size of those things.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it like? Hold on. Let me look up how big. How big is the pillars of creation? Because I know they're fucking massive.
Oh yeah, they're ridiculously huge. Surprisingly huge, actually.
I'm not finding anything, but I do know that they're like the size of our fucking galaxy, aren't they?
They are. Oh wow.
Well, anyway, they're very big. Look it up.
They also don't exist anymore.
They don't?
Nope.
Oh.
Because they're so far away that we're seeing what they used to look like.
Oh yeah, because they're some. What does it say? Some 6,500 to 7,000 light years from Earth.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the size. They are ridiculously enormous.
Mm-hmm. And that's just what? Gas. Fucking
the tallest pillar is 4 light years high.
Jesus.
Yep.
Holy fucking
Light
shit.
would take 4 years to travel from the bottom to the top. That's insane.
Light. That's fucking light.
Yep. Light travels, for the uninitiated, 186,000 miles per second. It can orbit the Earth 7 times a second.
What's the other one? That other cloud. It's like a Japanese name. Himiko. Yeah, I think. Himiko. Excuse me. Himiko cloud. It's like half the size of the Milky Way. Ow. Just poke myself.
I'm looking it up.
Miko cloud. Here we go. Giant mystery blob discovered.
I found it. It may represent the most massive object ever discovered in the early universe. Oh boy.
Yeah. Size. It's 55,000 light years across.
Oh my goodness.
Holds more than 10 times as much mass as the next largest object found in the early universe and roughly the equivalent mass of 40 billion suns.
It is half the size of our galaxy. That's insane.
Yes. That's fucking crazy.
Wow.
Like, this is why we're talking about this for you guys, because we want you to know, like, how fucking crazy our galaxy, or not galaxy, but our fucking universe is.
Yeah. This is kind of funny, too, because we're talking about a thing. This thing, we can see it. This existed in the early universe.
Yeah.
We're seeing it as it was.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore, probably, right?
Right,
But we're seeing the light travel from it.
Which is freaky.
Yeah.
We're seeing 14 billion years into the past, essentially.
Yeah.
That's very strange.
What else? There's like just a bunch of weird shit. Like there's that planet that's got like ice all over it, but it's on fire.
What?
It's
That's
like
cool.
methane ice or something like that. Like it's just like burning ice.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. We tend to forget that things that we're used, so barometric pressure and things like that, things that are normally responsible for what we could consider to be combustion, are a little bit different on planets with different levels of pressure, different atmospheres. Like methane is just a gas, and we can't even liquid form. It would have to be extremely cold, and yet like the moon Titan, which has literal oceans of methane and ethane, is kind of freaky that it's unfathomably cold. And when you look at pictures of it from like the Cassini Huygens probe, it defies our expectations of what cold is, because there isn't really ice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're look at the coldest spot on Earth, Antarctica. It's pure white snow because it is frozen water. However, water doesn't exist on this moon, so it's still negative 100, negative 200, whatever degrees Fahrenheit, and yet it doesn't really appear to be that way. It's very strange.
Yeah. Um, another thing that people have misconceptions about is how fast things are actually traveling in space.
Yeah.
Something could be traveling, because people normally when they envision like space, they envision like something just sitting there.
Oh yeah, no way. We're hurtling through the universe, literally.
Yeah, like the Earth, like if you look at Earth from like a spacecraft, it looks like it's just sitting still. It's just chilling, right?
Right.
It's rotating. It's just sitting in one spot.
Yeah.
But in actuality, it's moving like thousands of miles an hour.
That's because so are you if you're looking at it from a spacecraft.
Yep,
You're
because
within the
once,
sphere of influence, so
yeah,
you're being dragged.
yeah, you're actually up in space moving thousands of miles an hour. It just doesn't, you don't feel it.
Yeah, and we're moving in so many different directions too. We're spinning at like, I don't know if you ever heard this, but if the Earth were to suddenly stop spinning, like full stop,
Oh yeah, everybody would just fucking get flung.
we would get flung, I believe, westward at 800 miles per hour.
Yes,
So
everybody
we're
would just
spinning.
go flying.
Yeah, so we're spinning that fast. We're literally flying in a circle around the sun, and we and the sun and everything else is also shooting in whatever direction.
It's fucking crazy. Did you hear about that nebula that's just all alcohol?
What? No.
There's like a nebula, or there's like some spot in space that's like just alcohol. Just hold on, let me look this up. Alcohol in space.
Oh wow, alcohol.
There are giant clouds of alcohol floating in space. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah. So
it's space booze. I love this article already.
space booze.
It
Oh
contains
man.
enough ethyl alcohol to fill 400 trillion pints of beer. That's 2 trillions.
Jesus Christ.
To down that much alcohol, every person on Earth would have to drink 300,000 pints every day for 1 billion years. Okay.
Holy fuck. Oh man.
Excellent.
I want to go there. Can we go there?
I don't think we can.
How far away is it?
Uh,
Call an Uber.
10,000 light years from Earth.
Oh man.
That's a long way.
Oh man. I'm trying to think of random other facts because like there's so much to talk about, but it's hard to like get it all together. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. It
Um,
usually does come out just as random facts because
Did you
that's
know
the
that
fun
Did you know that Mercury is like being fucking compressed?
bit. What? No, I didn't
Yeah,
know this.
like because it's so close to the sun, like as it rotates, it's just being like crunched down.
Oh wow.
Yes, like very, very fucking slowly, but it's
Right.
slowly just being like crunched. Eventually, it's just gonna break apart.
Yeah.
Um,
Eventually, Mars's moons will smash into its surface.
oh, here's one thing I wanted to talk about. What do you think the surface of Jupiter looks like?
Looks like,
Yeah.
I mean, gas-ish, gaseous.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Here's one
There's
thing
no
I
real
never.
surface, so
Yeah.
to
Okay.
speak.
Yeah. That's one thing I never really understood. Like gaseous planets, like, do they have a surface? Do they have like something you can stand on if you went into them, or like, if is it all gas? But if it's all gas, what's in the fucking center then? Is
Uh,
it just a big ball of gas?
so the way it works is that yes, it does technically have a surface. That is, it has a point to where the gas is so dense that you could theoretically stand on it. However, it would be completely black and you would be long dead because the massive amount of pressure that it would exert on you as you're traveling through it.
You see, for the longest time, I thought that like your Uranus and fucking Neptune and Jupiter had like mountains and like
No.
fucking surfaces.
So let's put it in this level of perspective. To have the same amount of gravitational pull that you would feel on Earth on Jupiter, you'd essentially be far beyond the actual gas into space. You the closer you get, because it's such a huge planet with such a dense gas structure, the more crushed that you would feel. If you were at quote sea level, you would weigh like many times what you weigh on Earth, and it would crush you. And of course, eventually it becomes black because of just the density of gas doesn't let light through anymore. And at the center, so we believe, there is a solid core of some kind of chemical ice, like some frozen chemical, whatever that may be, or a combination of chemicals or compounds. So yeah,
That's
presumably
crazy.
they do have a solid core, but most of it is just extremely condensed, compressed gas.
Well, um, it's weird to think about like because Jupiter has like storms going on.
Yes,
That's crazy.
right, yeah.
Um,
You
can
could
like
never experience it, really. You wouldn't be able to see it.
that shit scares me though. Can you imagine being dropped onto Jupiter and
Uh,
just eventually everything just becomes black
yeah, yeah. I feel like
and you're
you'd probably
just
die far before then, but yeah.
well, yeah.
Still, yeah, it is kind of. Space is alarming
There's
for a variety of reasons. If the
well,
radiation doesn't kill you, you know.
what about like space bacteria? Like, because we were talking about well, what was the moon that they said like they think there might be life underneath the
Oh,
ice?
well, of course, they think it's possible that there could be.
Yeah,
You're talking about Europa, which is a moon of
yeah.
Jupiter? Yeah, moon of Jupiter. It essentially has an icy, rocky ish surface, and it is believed because of activity on the surface that there is probably an ocean underneath it. An
Hmm.
ocean which presumably could be warm enough because it's close enough to the molten core of the planet to support water-based life. It would, of course, be
Yeah.
pitch black unless there's some sort of bioluminescence going on.
Um, what's your opinion on like space bacteria though? Because like
You
there's
keep
got to be
saying that.
some.
What does that mean? What do you mean by space bacteria?
Okay, so like when I say space bacteria, I mean like so say you go to this Europa, right?
Yes.
You land on it and you dig through the ice, whatever. It's
Yeah.
way in the future. Do you think there'd be like diseases and shit you can catch from being
Um,
on that planet and observing its life?
I'd be more concerned about what we could do to it. It seems likely that life at whatever, if it's at a single cell stage or whatever it is,
Hmm.
presumably less sophisticated than, vertebrate animals, then it could be very fragile. We could introduce diseases and contaminants to them that could destroy them entirely.
Can you imagine like we found life and it just all fucking dies a week later?
I feel like we'd be much more careful about it.
Yeah. I mean, look at the fucking movie Life. They found life on Mars, right? It was like this little tiny bacterial
I never
thing.
watched it. I know you told me to watch it. I never got around to it.
Well, thanks for listening to me.
I'm sorry.
Everyone out there, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I am going to tell you the basis of it. Life is a great movie. It's got my favorite actor, Jake Gyllenhaal, sexy motherfucker. That guy is a great actor. He's great at everything he does. So that's why he's my favorite actor. But anyway, basically they find life on Mars, and it's in the form of like microscopic bacteria, right? They put it under a microscope and they tried to reanimate it because it was dead. They tried reanimating it, and they eventually brought it back to life, and it started growing. It started. It was what? It was like 100% made out of muscle.
Oh, jeez.
So this thing was and like this isn't a spoiler, because it's in the trailer, so I can talk about it. This guy, he is in one of those things where it's in a box, and there's like those gloves you put your hands into, like a quarantine box.
Yeah.
He puts his hands in there, and the thing is got like these little tentacles coming off of it, and it's like a see-through gelatin-looking thing. It's it's just like what would you expect, like an alien bacteria, but it's big, you can see it, would look like. So one of its little tentacles like touches his finger, and he's like, whoa, like everyone's like, oh my God. And then it like starts wrapping around its hand. And since it's 100%, like it's like 95% muscle, this thing fucking just constricts.
Oh, wow.
And his hand is just immediately crushed.
Wow.
And it starts trying to feed on things. It's not like it's this evil creature. It's just like evolving, and it's rapidly evolving.
Yeah.
That's the sense of the thing. It rapidly evolves and grows bigger, and it's just trying to survive. It's trying to eat. Mm-hmm. And, the amount of quarantine precautions that they had were crazy. They weren't allowed to come back to Earth after like 30 days or some shit like that until 30 days have passed. They had to do all of the research of the alien life form on the space station that they were on. Like, I feel like if we do ever find life, it's going to be like that.
Yeah, of course.
If we find like life, we're going to have to observe it in space. We're not going to bring it down to Earth.
Yeah, we're not going to be reckless, clearly. I mean, there's a lot of thought that's been put into this.
Do you think in our lifetime, because we probably got another 20 years under our belt from the amount of cigarettes and alcohol that we consume, but do you think they'll ever find alien life in our lifetime? And I'm not saying like fucking chrome dome bastards.
You're saying anything, bacteria,
out,
whatever.
Out. Yeah, like so say like bacteria, or like very, very simple creatures like what were like the first creatures on Earth? They were like those shelled creatures.
Oh, you mean the first on land, or?
No. They didn't go on land. There was like these like little. They were like snails, I think.
The guys that look like Kabuto from Pokemon.
No, not those were later on. Hold on.
Oh, I see.
First creatures on Earth. Let me see if I can find something on it. There's like these. Oh, a comb jelly. Okay, so it wasn't. I saw it a long time ago. Comb. Let me look this up. Comb jelly. Okay, very simple. It's a jellyfish, but it was one of the first things on Earth, apparently. I think one of the first creatures that formed. I don't feel like reading.
Probably one of the first multicellular creatures. So we're not talking about bacteria, amoeba, stuff like that.
Yeah, like actual something that's like you can hold, like an actual creature.
What are the chances? I don't know. I'd say maybe.
Because in reality, we do probably have maybe another 40, 50 years under our belt.
Sure. Depending on how far medical advancements have come. We could be robots.
And the fact that we might, the world might end before then.
Oh, yeah, that too. We almost definitely nuke ourselves somehow or another.
Yeah. Which, what's funny is for the longest time, I've always been this gung-ho survivalist. Yeah. I have, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 gallons of water in my room. Okay. Just stored in the corner. I have 4 big bags of rice, because rice is like a gold in a post-apocalyptic world. Oh boy. My trunk is filled with gallons of water and rice, and tents and batteries, flashlight, water purifiers, rope, clothing. I always keep clothing back there. And I've always the basis of the story is I'm a survivalist, and I've been preparing for the end of the world since I was about 17 or 18 years old. And Doug has always criticized me I'm like, oh, look, North Korea is getting crazy, or look at this. There have been this many earthquakes around Yellowstone in the past couple of weeks. And Doug has always been like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Almost nearly impossible that the world's gonna end, yada yada yada. And then in these recent like year, he's been like, okay, I kind of see where you're coming from, and he like actually started listening to my rants, and we
It
have
was
like
a bit of a
we have like
joke more than
plan
anything
and
else.
shit.
I don't actually think that North Korea is going to nuke us. I really
No,
don't.
obviously not. But even if they try, they could fucking hurt
I
somebody.
guess. I just don't. It's less so that
Get
I
this,
don't
Doug.
believe
Get
that
this, Doug.
humans will manage to destroy ourselves. I think less so that something post-apocalyptic in nature, like where people are scrounging for supplies, I think that's less likely.
No, no, it is likely.
Eh.
EMP. How about that? EMP. North Korea can get a satellite up there. They can get a satellite up. They
If
just
it
need
were
to get
that
it.
easy, don't you think someone would have done it?
Uh, no, because I don't want to start a fucking war.
Why not? People fucking do all kinds of horrible things all the time just because they feel like it.
You know how easy it is to Okay, why doesn't Russia EMP us then? Hmm?
Yeah, why don't they?
Because they obviously can.
Yeah,
You're gonna doubt that Russia can?
I'm sure they maybe could, but they're
Moral,
not going
moral,
to.
moral reasons.
Or because they just don't
Obviously,
want to live in a shit world.
moral reasons. North Korea is fucking crazy. They've already demonstrated they could put a satellite up. The North Korean satellite flies over the United States every fucking day.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Kim Jong Un is not brainwashed like his citizens. I guarantee you what he's doing is just, hey, nobody will invade us and throw us out of power if we tell them to fuck off or we'll nuke them. We can just maintain this and be rich forever for the rest of our lives.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if a rogue country that fucking hates America has the ability to put a satellite up, even an ICBM, detonate it a little bit higher up, all of our electronics gone for years, we'd be fucked.
I just think it's all about money. I think they just want money.
Whatever. But I'm always prepared, so shut the fuck up.
Alright, fine.
Did you know that Pluto's smaller than the moon?
Yeah,
It's crazy,
and then Pluto has a moon of its own too.
which is weird.
Yeah,
Oh, poor little Pluto. Why did it get denounced as a planet? Was
because
it thick
they
enough or something?
Well, yeah, because they started discovering well, it's not really extrasolar. It's like objects that are in like the Kuiper Belt, areas that are beyond Pluto. There's a lot of like little landforms out there that are larger than Pluto, and there are so many of them that it would start to get to the point where we'd be like, okay, what's a planet? What's not a planet? If we don't define what a planet is, then we could have 30 planets. So they're like, okay, fine. So we can't say that like Maki Maki is actually an object that's larger than Pluto, that is beyond Pluto. We didn't want to consider that a planet because that's a slippery slope. So we were like, fine, Pluto's not a planet. It's better than saying that Maki Maki is the 10th planet. Because we don't want to have 15 of them every time we discover a new one. I mean, we used to think that Jupiter had like 12 moons, and now we know it has like what 50 or something ridiculous like that. So we don't
Jesus.
want to be.
Wait. Pluto has 50 moons?
Not Pluto. Jupiter, not Pluto.
Oh, I was like, what?
I misspoke. Jupiter. We used to think Jupiter had like 12 moons. Now it's got like 50 or something. And we don't want
Jupiter has 50 moons.
something like that. I don't remember what the number is.
Jesus.
But the idea is that we don't want our perceptions of the solar system and the way we define things to change every time we discover something new. So we don't want us to go, oh, there's 51 planets now. So they kind of cut that off ahead of time and said, okay, fine. Anything smaller than this is not a planet. Pluto comes within that purview, so Pluto is a dwarf planet.
Man.
So yeah.
It's just crazy. Fucking crazy. Space is
Yep.
crazy. Did you know that like there's like planets out there that take really fucking long time to rotate?
Yeah.
like I think it's like Neptune or Uranus. Uranus.
Shut up.
One of the two. Like a fucking day is like 20 years.
Oh yeah, that sounds about right.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like 24 hours for us is 20 years.
I mean, yeah, 20 years of rotation, which is interesting because we consider a day to be a rotation. They can consider a day to be something else. And we measure
Yeah.
days by the existence of light and dark. So they would
Yes.
essentially just have very long, quote, days, if you want to call it that. If
Like, oh my God. Today fucking sucks. I cannot wait for tomorrow. And they're like 16 years in.
Yeah, as they're floating on the surface of their gaseous planet somehow. Yeah.
Hey, who's to say there's not life down there, dude? There could be like these like fucking floating beings.
Right.
What do you mean, right? There could be like sky creatures. Like
Okay.
big dragons fucking swimming through all the gas.
I think maybe we would have seen some semblance of that by now.
Just peeking out.
Yeah,
Hey, what you doing?
something like that.
Do you
Ah.
believe that aliens have visited Earth?
I'm gonna go with probably not.
What about the fucking all the videos, dude?
I have watched extensive amounts of documentaries on that. I do believe that there are certain things that are indeed unexplainable, but I think that a lot of those things might just be things that are quote unofficial or that are officially unexplainable. That is
Okay.
that there is a government project of some sort and nobody knows about it.
Okay, I'm not gonna get too much into this conspiracy theory.
Oh boy.
Boom. That's next week's topic. Conspiracy theories.
Okay.
Sound good?
All right.
Okay, so conspiracy theories next week. But
Cool.
the question to like leave our listeners on the edge, kind of make them like
Yeah.
thinking these crazy guys. Do you really believe in conspiracy theories?
That is a broad question. Some
Okay,
of
do you
them
believe
maybe.
okay, no, do you believe our government is as fucked up as conspiracy theorists say it is, that they would always make up these lies to tell us?
Somewhat. Some things, I think.
Like don't go
Well-
into depth, just name some conspiracy okay, here we're going to play a little game for next week
Okay.
to foreshadow next week.
Okay.
Name 3 conspiracy theories that you believe.
Oh, that I believe.
Yes.
Oh man, that's kind of a hard one. You start.
9/11.
Oh boy.
Oh, hold on. Now, like, I need to explain myself, everybody. I'm not gonna go into it, but I'm just gonna say I don't believe like the government was like fuck you and all this other stuff. I believe they just covered some stuff up. Obviously, you could hear bombs and shit going off before the buildings collapsed, right? Hold on. I'm not saying the government placed them, but what if, the Taliban or whatever, Al Qaeda. I'm just saying, I don't think the government really did 9/11, but what I do think,
I think Bush did 9/11.
no. He did it himself, by himself. He's so rich that his daddy bought him a fucking RC plane. But
He surfed in on the top of the plane, Just Cause style.
oh my god, and he fucking hit his parachute last second. But no. What I'm saying is I don't believe that the government did 9/11. I just believe that they covered up some stuff, maybe some really poor security measures, maybe some things that were overlooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another conspiracy theory, I believe. I don't know. I said one. Your turn.
Oh, I got to think of one now. This is kind of.
What about the JFK assassination? How do you feel on that?
I feel like that was just. Just Oswald and nobody else.
Shots from the grass,
Yeah, I don't believe in any of that. I think that's bullshit.
Well, then, okay, so you're shooting down all my conspiracy theories. What's one that you actually believe that we could look forward to next week?
I'm
you
trying to think
explain.
of one. Now I'm coming up blank now that I'm attempting to think of some.
Oh, I heard. I was listening to H3's podcast the other day.
Okay.
Mattress stores.
Oh, that they're money laundering places?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I totally believe that.
Yeah,
That's almost
so
definitely
weird.
true.
That's so weird. Oh man.
There's too fucking many of them,
Yeah.
all in the same place. It's weird. You know what's funny? After I saw that, I went to my mom and I was like, "Hey, mom, what do you think about this?" And then she was like, "Oh yeah, definitely." So there you go.
Oh my god. Okay, so I think we should start wrapping this up.
Yeah, we should.
What was I gonna say? Next week we're gonna have, or actually, no. We're gonna have another space podcast in the future. Probably not soon, but down the lines. So we want you, me and Doug. Say hi, Doug.
Hi.
Hi, yeah. We want you, the listener, to send us your topics that you want us to talk about space, because we fucking love space. So we're definitely going to talk about it again. But this was kind of like we had topics and then we just ran out of topics, so we were bullshitting.
Yeah.
So we want some actually like good topics, maybe something we don't know about. So if anybody's listening to us, the three of you, go ahead and send us like maybe something space related that you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. Oh well. Cue the exit, Doug.
All right.
What?
What?
What? Okay, exit cued.
Yeah, exit queued.
Okay, we're good. We're next week. Join us for Conspiracy Theories. Kane and Doug, Wolf Toast Podcast. We love you all.
Bye.